Okay, good morning. It's Thursday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to Tad. You're my Valentine.
Thank you.
And by the concept of Ishtoi Kegufo, it applies to Liz as well. You know, we have this concept that a man's wife is like himself. So anything that applies to... It's a little frightening, yes. Yeah.
Don't scare me too.
But that's in the Torah, that's on the Bereshit, because you said you asked Motai Lakach. Yeah, from my bone you took my wife.
Right.
The Bereshit.
You know the story that I always. Oh my gosh! This is even the wrong paper, so I don't even have my notes.
But your memory is good. You trust your memory.
Every little piece.
It's in your pocket. Yeah, it's in your pocket.
In my pocket. Oh, okay. You know the joke God made. I may have said this already. You can stop me so I don't waste more time. But God made man, and then He said, "You don't have to listen to this, Liz." God made man. Then He says, "Now I'm going to make you another person who's going to be at your side and who's going to cook for you and clean for you and take care of all your needs. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. You know, and she's going to give you emotional support and everything." So Adam goes, "Great, what's it going to cost me?" So God says, "An arm and a leg." So he goes, "What can I get for a rib?" So this is what we got for a rib. But sometimes, you know, a rib steak is the best thing. Anyway, so... not making fun or light of women. Chances are, if not for women, if there were no women in the world, chances are most of us would not be here.
Yeah,
you know? I was in Wawa today, and I saw something amazing. I was telling Benny. Actually, something else that we spoke about. I saw something else. I was looking at the newspaper, and I saw the headlines. The headlines today is Miss America is coming back to the United States. Okay? And then the next headline on the right side was Revel Casino is looking to hire more attorneys to help them out of their problems. And on the left side, it's talking about the landfill that it's being taken over by another company, the environmental landfills and stuff like that. So I'm saying to myself, and I go, what? And what is the connection between these three articles that are together on the front page of the newspaper? Can anybody think of what the connection is? What was the intent of the editor to put these three in such proximity and in relationship to each other? And then I realized what the answer is. Nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
There's no connection.
There's no purpose, there's no rhyme and reason, and there's nothing in the thought process. They just put stuff in at random, and maybe if you spend a couple of million years, you can come up with a valid theme that runs through all these three headlines. Not so in the Torah. In the Torah, it's amazing that everything in the Torah has a reason, not only for being in the Torah, but has a reason where it is in the Torah. For what specific reason was this commandment given next to the other commandment? Why is this story connected to this story? Why is this law written next to this law? And not only that, we actually derive laws out of the fact that certain things are in specific orders. For example, yesterday we spoke about other things about a sitter having to have an order. The word sitter means an order. And we spoke about the eighth blessing in the Shemona Esrei is out of the 18 or 19 brachas that we have in Shemona Esrei, the eighth one is Rafa'enu, Hashem Shehilas, corresponding to the eighth day of every male's life that we ask Hashem to heal us.
And 8 is above nature.
And 8 is above nature.
It's a healing process. process is above nature.
Right.
It's a miraculous event.
So we think that a doctor is healing us, but Rafa'enu Hashem heals us. Even if we go to a doctor, he's just the he's like the make-believe guy. You know, he gives you the injection, and you think that that's what's healing you, but it's, you know. Anyway, never is this more evident. Never is this more evident where proximity is the basis for laws. The ultimate, the prime example of this is where in the Torah, where it talks about observing the Shabbos, is in proximity to this week's Parsha and last week's Parsha and the next few Parshas, all dealing with the building of the tabernacle, which was the forerunner of the actual temples, Beis Hamikdash, where we learn what is not allowed to be done on Shabbos, what work is not allowed to be done on Shabbos. How do we know what's considered work? For Tad, work is, you know, maybe, I don't know, is it work? Writing down the orders?
Punching
punching those buttons, you know. For him, it's work. For somebody who's schlepping boxes all day and construction worker, that would be just punching buttons. He'd be on vacation doing that? So what's considered work? Not minimizing Tad's role in Bubby's. I'm convinced without Tad there would be no Bubbies. God forgive me for that. Anyway, we love you. Happy Valentine's Day. You know, I want you to know my life in Atlantic City is enhanced by the two of you. I'm serious. Not only because of your store, you know.
We feel the same that our life, because you're here and your friendship and your knowledge and learning.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
making
you.
our experience
Thank you.
here that much better.
And believe me, I enjoy being here, and it's a pleasure for me. I almost didn't make it today, and Benny knows, and I would have had good reason. Would I have had good reason?
100%.
You see, after the Shiur, off camera, Benny will tell you maybe why it was a test for me to come here today. Nevertheless, I'm glad I'm here. And we'll see. Anyway, so what's considered work? What's considered anything that was required to build the Beis Hamikdash,
Mishkan.
or the Mishkan? Anything that was required to do that is what's not allowed to be done on Shabbos. And from that we have, without exaggeration, probably millions and millions of different things we can talk about, what is allowed, what is not allowed. So today we're going to talk about one of those things. Did everybody just hear that? Mm-hmm. What did I do?
Banged on the desk.
Da, 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 da. Am I allowed to do that on Shabbos?
Yeah,
Music.
people do it.
Was it music?
It's a kind of,
Well, singing is music.
Playing
but people
drums.
sing.
You can't play drums.
Is the table a drum?
Could be a musical instrument, what you just did.
with, the
I
Is a table a musical instrument?
with the power that you have, you might bang it hard, you might break the leg, and then you're going to get a hammer and fix the table.
You know. Have a good day, everybody. Have a good day. Benny just in 14 seconds just gave the whole Shiur. He wrapped it up so beautifully in one little package, and he is exactly right. But let's develop that whole concept, okay? Did you hear what, for those that maybe going to listen on camera, what Benny said, that when I'm going to go like this, when I'm going to do this, I may actually break the table, and as a result of breaking the table, I may have to fix it. And if I am fixing the table is not allowed to be done on Shabbos. Why? Why can't you fix a table? Because we're not allowed, it's called Masakin Kela. You're not allowed to construct any instrument, and I don't mean musical instrument. I'm not allowed to do anything. In fact, we have 39 laws, major laws, that we're not allowed to do on Shabbos. Right? Are we familiar with that?
Yes.
There's 39 major laws. You can't cut, you can't write, you can't plow, you can't plant, you can't color, you can't. There's 39 major laws, and from these they're called Av Melachos, the father of the works, and then there's Toldos, the children, and then there's Toldos of Toldos, like the grandchildren, and from that there's all kinds of laws. The last one of the 39 is something that's called Hamake Bepatish. That means to bang with the hammer. What does that mean? It means anytime you do an act which you complete something, that act of completion is prohibited on Shabbos. So hypothetically speaking, if somebody wanted to put together this table, and you cut the wood, you put it together, you screw in the legs, you do everything that you have to do, but the last thing that you have to do is maybe one of the hinges have to be folded down, so for it to keep in place. That act,
Or put that last nail to finish.
or the last nail, or makabah patish, means to bang with the hammer.
Leading up to that.
No, but let's say all those things were done before Shabbos, and you're doing the final act. With that final act, now it's a working,
Complete.
practical table. You can't do that. Now, it's not so simple. Am I allowed to take a folding chair and unfold it so I can sit down? You've now done something to make it usable for me. So of course,
Right, there's all these arguments.
nothing in life is simple.
When I first converted, I was afraid to do anything. I used to sit on the couch and just read because I was afraid. I didn't
Yeah.
know what the laws were, and I didn't
Right.
want to break either. So I just,
It's very difficult to keep Shabbos. There is a Gemara that says if actually there's two Gemaras, a little conflicting, but I'll quote the more famous one that says if the Jews would keep just two Shabbosim, Mashiach would come.
I've heard that.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean just come to shul.
The
That
big-
means
It means to keep it in all its laws and not to violate a single part of the law.
most people don't even know what all the laws are. Like I don't think I know.
I don't think anybody really does, because it's very hard to know what all the laws are. But anyway, the point is, some people say that what it means if you keep two Shabbosim, it means the two famous Shabbosim. There's two famous Shabbosim in the year: Shabbos Hagadol, which is coming up in a few weeks, which is the Shabbos before Pesach, and Shabbos Tshuva, the Shabbos between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That's called. So you say if you just kept those two Shabboses, Mashiach would come, because those two Shabboses, one, the
You are
spirit.
motivated those days also.
What?
You are very motivated.
You're motivated. There's a lot going on.
Elul.
Anyway, let's get back to the source. The question is, are you allowed to use a microphone on Shabbos? I'm not talking about an electrical one, like a megaphone or something. Are you allowed to use that on Shabbos? What do you think?
It seems like you should.
So the source of all these laws is a Gemara in Eruvin. The Gemara in Eruvin says that there used to be outside the Beis Hamikdash 2 wells where they would draw water, and they would draw water from these wells by rolling it. I'm not exactly sure how it worked, but as a result of that, they would be able to draw water, and that was, and they asked, was that allowed? And the answer is it was allowed only because we have a concept of Ein Shvus B'Mikdash. We have biblical laws, and then we have laws that the rabbis enacted as a precaution against the major laws. That problem did not exist in the Beis Hamikdash itself. Any law that was enacted only as a preventive measure did not apply in the Beis Hamikdash itself. And we'll talk about that maybe some other time.
What was the issue of taking water?
So they asked, what was the issue? The issue was that it makes noise. It made a certain amount of noise. So the question was, so the Gemara there brings down a story. The Gemara over there brings down a story that 2 Tanoim were sitting in a house, and somebody comes and knocks on the door, and what's the appropriate response when somebody knocks on the door?
Who is it?
Who is there? This Tana didn't give that response. He goes, who is that who's being Mechalel Shabbos? Who's that who's desecrating the Shabbos? So the other guy tells him, I think it was Rabba and Ulla. So I forget which one was which. So I don't mean to demean the person by calling him guy, but one guy tells the other guy, what do you mean he's Mechalel Shabbos? He's not, he's just knocking on the door. And noise is only prohibited when it's musical noise. But regular noise, there's nothing wrong with it. So they had a whole discussion, and the upshot of it is that there are certain things certain criterias where noise is permitted and where noise is not permitted. Noise using a musical instrument. If you're going to use a musical instrument, that noise is prohibited even though you're not making music. So, if you're just take a drumstick and bang it on a drum, you didn't beat out a tune, that is not allowed because you're using a musical instrument. Okay?
But while the temple still stood, wasn't there music there?
Yeah, not on Shabbos. Not on Shabbos. Okay. Now, so to make music, even though you're not using a musical instrument, is also not allowed. So you need to it has to be something that's not a musical instrument, and you're not making music. So the question is, or you're allowed to, certain doors have these knockers on it. Maybe I shouldn't have used that word, Ted. Anyway, they have these things on it that you announce yourself. So, are you allowed to use that or you're allowed to use that on Shabbos? So, under the rules that I just said, you should be allowed to use it because it's not a musical instrument, and also you're not making music.
Well, you could do.
I'm saying, but if you just went over and you used that door,
Right.
Anybody know a name for that?
I'm not good. You were right.
Yeah, all right.
Old-fashioned bell.
Yeah, or you like so that's neither a musical instrument. That's neither a musical instrument nor you making music. So you should be allowed to use it. Nevertheless, the later rabbi said that you can't use that either. Why not? Because something that is made and its sole purpose is to make noise, then that falls into the same classification as a musical instrument. The purpose of a musical instrument is to make music. The purpose of that is to make noise. And making noise on Shabbos is not allowed. So for that reason, or you're allowed to, if you have a non-Jew in the house and you have a maid working for you, she can do all kinds of things, providing you didn't give her specific instructions on Shabbos. She's not allowed to vacuum, because vacuuming makes noise. If Moshe did not allow to have your dishwasher on the timer to go on Shabbos because it makes noise. Now today you have dishwashers don't make that much noise, so I'm not gonna answer. The only exception Rav Moshe allowed to do something on a timer, even though it makes noise, is
Lights.
air conditioning. No, lights don't make noise. Air conditioning, that was allowed. Yeah.
It's sakana.
Yeah. No, it's not a sakana. Anyway, getting back to this.
No, some people
So
they
now we're going to get back to. So I'm not using a musical instrument. The table was not made for the purpose of making noise.
But you're making music.
Huh?
But you're making
But you're making music. So here, if I'm making music, that's also not allowed. So why aren't you allowed? And now we'll come to Benny's answer, because if you're going to take something, even though it was not intended to make music, but you're using it to make music, you can't do it because it may break, and then you may want to fix it. and we're worried about that you're going to be constructing something on Shabbos.
But I've been to so many places where people on Shabbos do that, like they'll sing and bang on the table, so that's prohibited? I just assumed that was allowed. Because
well,
I've seen it done so many times.
I'm just giving you.
Right, I understand, so, but I just
I'm
wanted
just
to-
giving you.
That's also the reason.
So don't do it.
Why you can't ride a bike on Shabbos. Because if it breaks, you
have to-
may be forced to fix it.
What if you just leave it? If you abandon it?
See, 90% of the people.
By the way,
they-
what
they
I'm
wanna
telling
fix
you
it.
is it may not be the absolute halacha. I'm just giving you different opinions on some say that the idea that you're going to, some say, we actually don't hold by that, and we use a knocker on Shabbos because
That's the way.
the reason you're not allowed to use the knocker, according to certain people, is because you may bang out a tune. You know, if you're using it to knock, you may decide to go make it. And some people say that is such a far-fetched thing, and we have this concept that something that's very far-fetched, we don't make a law if something is just very, very far-fetched. If it's a rabbinical law, if it's a biblical law, we do. But if it's a rabbinical law, then we don't. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, have a good
I
Shabbos.
don't even know what to do